Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining our AHFES Atlantic Area Healthy Food Ecosystem webinar on no and low alcohol innovation. I'll hand over to Alison. She's the one, I'm sure lots of you already know Alison. She works for us here in BIC and has been doing all the research in this sector. Just before I hand over to Alison, just a couple of the usual housekeeping points. Because this is a webinar, we can't see or hear you, but we do have the chat function or Q&A, so please do use that. Alison, I'll keep an eye on the chat and Q&A, so if things come through, we can pick those questions up. We are recording this session, and that will be available on the AHFES project website later after the webinar. And if for some reason you have to leave the webinar, you can rejoin using the same link. So Alison, over to you, and you can tell me when to move on slides, okay?
Okay, thank you. So good morning and bore da from the AHFES team here in Wales. Bonjour, bon dia and buenos dias to all of our participants coming in from the AHFES regions. Just briefly to tell you about the AHFES project, it is a collaboration of partners in the regions of Wales, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Spain, Portugal and France. And the purpose of this project is to provide training and support for SMEs who are looking to innovate, develop or reformulate and bring healthy food and drink products to market. At the end of this webinar, we'll tell you a bit more about how your business can get more involved in the training and the services involved. So today we're going to cover a short review of how we got to the marketplace for NoLo drinks today, some market statistics, some information about consumer attitudes and behaviour, the drivers of category growth, looking at various categories, looking at the trends, and then exploring where there might be opportunities for yourselves as healthy drink producers. So just to start, what is the NoLo category? So it's a relatively new category. So when I've been researching, it's been quite difficult to really say where the boundaries of this are. But I've taken it to be drinks that are targeted towards adult consumption, but having a zero or low alcohol content. And when you do your own research, you will find them referred to by various names. So zero alcohol, 0% alcohol, non-alcoholic, de-alcoholized, which is a particular technique used, low alcohol, reduced alcohol, low ABV. So these might be some of the terms that you'll experience when you're doing some more reading around this area. We'd have a little look later because some of these terms have very specific legal meanings, and the meanings can vary by whichever country it is that you're choosing to sell your products to. And as I mentioned, there are not really clear boundaries for the categories at the moment because the market is new and growing and becoming established in many territories around the world. So, speaking of which, this map indicates for you the top 10 countries in which NoLo sales are occurring. So we have Australia, Brazil, the UK, Spain, Canada, the USA, Germany, France, South Africa and Japan, and together those top 10 represent 75% of the sales currently. Now, some categories are in steep growth, particularly here you see a 47% growth globally, being forecast by the drinks expert IWSR between 2019 and 2024. And we're seeing this as being a at-home consuming opportunity, with 64% of consumers liking to include NoLo options when relaxing at home. So the consumption at home has been pushed forward by the pandemic and the closure of bars, pubs and restaurants around the world. But we do see this as an opportunity in the on-trade as venues open up. So we're going to look at the countries across the AHFES regions, and from France to the UK, from Ireland to Spain and Portugal, we're seeing growth in value and volume in all of these markets. Now, we have to say that the growth is coming from a very small base when you compare it to the global sales of alcoholic drinks. And you can see here that in contrast to, the nearly $530 billion of sales of alcoholic drinks, we've got 4,500 million sales for NoLo. But we're seeing very steep increases, and we'll have a look at how this is influencing the marketplace. So, for example, across Western Europe, we're anticipating a 12% increase in the next couple of years. And this is on top of in the UK, a 30% increase that had already occurred between 2018 and 2019. So I think we can see that this growth is very rapid, and it's forecast to remain strong in the next 3 to 5 years. So where is all this demand coming from? And looking at my research, I have categorized the consumers into these 4 archetypes. So we have the never-nevers who don't drink alcohol at all. We have people who are not drinking alcohol for a particular reason. We have people who are not drinking alcohol on specific occasions. And then we have a very interesting category of the switchers. And these people are flowing backwards and forwards between alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Market research from around the world continues to reveal that young people in the under 24 age bracket have a very different relationship to alcohol than those of us who grew up in the 1980s and 1990s. Estimates from sector experts SEBA report found that 23% of UK millennials in the 18 to 24 age group are teetotal. And this is coming from a concern for their health and their mental well-being, the high price of alcoholic drinks, and a desire not to be seen intoxicated on social media. In France, 40% of young people are reported to consume NoLo products. And then we have the so-called Generation M, who are middle-class professional Muslim people, who are another prime target group for the no sectors in many countries. So thinking about the not these days, we have groups of people who move in and out of drinking alcohol or abstaining. So they may be expecting a baby, taking antibiotics, having a chronic health condition, or following a weight loss diet. And all of these have been well-established reasons. But now we have popular social movements like Dry January and Sober October. And these are introducing citizens to longer periods of abstinence. And the reports that take place after those events state that many people return to consuming alcohol, but at a much lower level. So we have people also who are abstaining for very specific reasons on certain occasions. We have very long established campaigns against drink driving, and enforcement of laws to prevent drink driving have been very successful over the past 25 years. To this, we have people who don't drink alcohol if they are in a professional or work situation. And increasingly, because they are in training for a special fitness or sports event. Modern drinkers may have a healthy relationship with alcohol, but are more selective about when they consume it. So these are what I'm calling the switchers. They want an evening drink with sophisticated and complex flavours and to create a special moment to enjoy it. Or they want something that pairs nicely with certain foods. And a sugary or diet soft drink just doesn't hit the vibe that they're looking for. And these consumers are reported to switch between alcoholic drinks and NoLo options on different days of the week, or even in the same evening, pacing their alcohol intake so that they remain in command of themselves and avoid a hangover. So we're going to look a little deeper into the consumer motivations around alcohol avoidance. So we've mentioned these long established reasons of diet choices, medical reasons, and religious observance. But many of these were very valid, but could be seen to be having to miss out on something. And certainly people who don't drink for religious reasons have shared that they find that quite socially isolating. In the last 3 to 4 years, we are seeing new motivations coming forward as people are being proactive about their health. They want a healthy body, they want good mental health, they may be avoiding sugar, they may be curating a positive personal image on social media. They may wish to demonstrate their social and ethical values, as well as enjoying hangovers. And very important area that's coming to the fore is the desire and understanding that good sleep quality enhances your life in general. And then we have our generation M of Muslim consumers who don't wish to consume alcohol for religious reasons. In addition, we have wider consumer trends which are influencing us in the beverage sector. So we have the craft and artisan movement, the desire to source ingredients and packaging sustainably, to eat clean. We have the desire to have plant-based diets and a growing health consciousness. So we see these shifts in many markets across Europe, where we have businesses and consumers embracing craft skills, and there is a movement to curb unbridled consumerism and moderate consumption generally, as consumers actively seek ways to boost their physical and mental health. And not least in our image-driven world, consumers are eager for stylish, Instagram-worthy presentation of products. And all of this has led to a willingness to trade up into premium products, although since the pandemic, we do need to be mindful that economies have been affected by the pandemic, and many people who are not working may not now have the money to spend on premium products. So we just need to strike a balance with that. So how aware of the NoLo category are consumers? Well, there is a lot of information out there for consumers who want to understand what their options are. We have the so-called sober curious lifestyle movement, and this is supported not only in books and social media, websites, blogs, and so the internet is awash with articles and blogs extolling the benefits of an alcohol-free lifestyle. Equally, you will find numerous reviews of the best 10 NoLo drinks from newspapers, magazines, and bloggers in all of the AHFES countries. And we also have online businesses who are now specialising in offering NoLo products for home delivery in most of the countries within the AHFES regions. So why has this trend come about? For many years until recently, if you were avoiding alcohol, you had very few choices, and they were quite boring. They were drinks that were more associated with children. And to be truthful, the early versions of the NoLo products were not very good tasting. They had an aftertaste with a sort of chemical flavour, or they lacked in flavour at all. But we're going to see how technical improvements have allowed new and much more appealing products to come to market. So we have the consumer interest, but how are they going to get access to products? Increasingly, consumers can find a range of NoLo products in their local supermarket, their off-license or liquor store, and major brands are turning their attention to dedicated merchandising techniques. So we can see this example of a zero zone, which has been launched by Heineken into French stores. And bars and restaurants are responding to increasing demand by stocking wider ranges. In Spain, for example, alcohol-free beer is widely stocked in well over 50% of bars, both large and small, and more than 60% of restaurants. And it enjoys probably the strongest sales per head of any country. We also have seen numerous businesses offering NoLo products for home delivery via dedicated websites. So we have premium alcohol-free drinks company Blue Dolphin, who are based in Barcelona, delivering across Spain. Grelle de Jouer offering a similar option in France. And in the UK, businesses such as Dry Drinker and Sober Source also offer subscription services. And in major cities, we're seeing alcohol-free bars opening, like the pioneering Virgin Mary Bar in Dublin, which is now opening venues across the Middle East, as well as selling online. The new NoLo categories, sorry, Linda, can we move on? Thank you. So the new NoLo categories have emerged to meet this consumer demand for alcohol-free drinking, and they focus on products that feel appealing and aspirational for adults. They bring a sense of sophistication and occasion to that soft drinks just can't deliver. And we're now going to look at a number of these categories, and not only the beers, wines and spirits, which are more well established, but a number of new sectors which are positioning themselves to compete for adult drinking occasions. One of the things I've mentioned several times is that we're seeing a blurring and overlapping of markets. And this was in fact, it was quite hard to put this diagram together because we had so many things overlapping. But this just kind of gives you an idea of where there are, mocktails becoming ready to drink and botanicals, not only in spirits, but also in mixers. And we'll explore this a little bit further as we go through. One thing I just wanted to mention to you is that it's always a good idea for you to check all of the legal and regulatory issues surrounding any products that you plan to develop, and be aware of different rules that may apply in the various countries where you plan to sell them. And these rules will have significant implications for virtually every part of your product design and your marketing campaign. Be this the definitions of what is alcohol-free, how the sugar levies are defining the alcohol substitutes, and into America, the malt beverage regulations. So this was just something I wanted to point out before we launch into a deep dive now into the categories.
Alison, just before we do that, we've had a question that's come in from Russ. As we're in the legal implications, will under 18s be allowed to drink non-alcoholic drinks? Have you come across anything like that in your research?
Well, I think the fact that it is non-alcoholic, I think so. No, it isn't something that I've delved into. Obviously not the low alcohol, I think would definitely be excluded because, having any alcohol in them would put them in that category of needing to be over the age of that's applicable in that country.
Okay. Russ, I don't know if you've seen something that makes you think that maybe they're not allowed to drink non-alcoholic drinks. I don't know if you want to put anything in the chat box at all. Okay, we've got somebody saying.
Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, maybe that's something we'll look into, and we can put a message back out to the attendees. So we'll have a further look into that. But,
lovely.
Yeah, great question. Thanks, Russ.
Yes, thank you. So, let's have a look at the most well-established category, which has been around for the longest time, which is beer. So businesses, both large and small, are being attracted to the NoLo beer sector. And this is driving investment in innovation, new brands, adapting premises, and improving skills and technology. Conventional beer sales have been at best stagnant, and with the hospitality sectors being decimated by pandemic closures in the last year, even in decline. So the growth in the NoLo category is attracting new entrants to the market. So, for example, a recent report last month from the USA is saying that the pandemic has actually reversed a slow decline in NoLo beers, with Nielsen reporting a 33% increase in NoLo beer sales in 2020. And we can see from the amount of activity that this is becoming a sort of self-fulfilling circle as new brands become available, so new consumers enter the market. And this growth performance is attracting a range of different businesses to the areas. So we have startup businesses who are applying the craft movement principles that have been very successful in alcoholic beer. Some are approaching the sector with a de-alcoholizing approach, and others are increasingly brewing without alcohol ever being produced. So some of these businesses have been successful in attracting both crowdfunding, the backing from banks, and angel investment, as investors can also see the sales potential for the NoLo sector. We also have major brands across Europe who've been launching NoLo variants. So we have the Guinness Zero in Ireland, and despite some issues where they had to have a product recall, they have now relaunched the product and created a piece of equipment to achieve the beautiful flow and settling in the glass that the standard Guinness is known for. So we have multiple brands coming out of Heineken, such as Birra Moretti and Heineken Zero. In Portugal, both of the leading brewers, Sagres and Superboc, offer zero alcohol options. And as well as the NoLo offer from Superboc, Carlsberg has the Mausi brand, which is the market leader in a number of long-established alcohol-free markets such as Saudi Arabia. And they are actively launching new alcohol brands worldwide. AB InBev, who make Budweiser and Stella Artois, have particularly been on a drive to increase the number of alcohol drinks it sells. And it's set a target for non-alcohol and low ABV beverages to make up 1/5 of its global production by 2025. And at the moment, that level is around 10% of all volumes. So we can expect a lot of activity from that brewer. And Specialist Drinks Market Intelligence Agency, IWSR, estimates that over 50% of the Spanish on-trade outlets offer NoLo drinks, with big names such as San Miguel and Estrella very well established. We see, thanks Linda, we see a similar picture in the NoLo cider category, with a number of the big brands marketing NoLo versions of their well-known names. We have market leaders like Kopparberg, Thatcher's, Magners and Old Malt from Heineken, to regional brewers like Adamans in Suffolk in England. From France comes Galopette, which use French cider apples in its apple juice cider alternative. And cider maker in Spain, the Good Cider Company, has added a 0% variant to its range. Other brands like Maison Sassy in France offer a cider apple juice no option, but have taken a low route with their Perry Sassy Pois, which is at 2.5% ABV. So it will be interesting to see if this sector becomes as crowded as the beer category. The NoLo wine category has been present for a number of years, but has largely failed to attract the consumer following that the beer sector has enjoyed. And criticism has been made of poor taste experiences, with NoLo wines failing to taste like wine or even taste appealing in their own right. And wine experts, such as the UK's Jancis Robinson, have pointed out that the differential between a wine's ABV of around 12% and even higher is much more difficult to bridge than for beers and ciders, who are typically 4.5 to 5 ABV. Also, along with this comes the action of the natural sugars in wines. And this leads to significant technical challenges in achieving an enjoyable mouthfeel, body, weight, texture, aroma, and flavour to the wine. Having conducted this research, personally, I feel that this area may be much like the gluten-free market was a decade ago. It started with some very basic products for celiac sufferers or were featured in health food stores. And many products, to be honest, were not an enjoyable taste experience, but a health necessity. However, as consumer interest grew, so demand grew, and manufacturers saw that they would make a return on their investment that they made into research and development initiatives. So it became a virtuous circle. As sales increased, more and more products were technically improved and innovated, and they obtained listings in major supermarkets, bringing them to a wider audience. And as sales grew, so we had improved brands coming to market. And now gluten-free is seen as a positive and even aspirational attribute across a number of product categories. So in the same way, as we see more wineries and brands from the traditional winemaking regions, such as France, Spain, Portugal, South Africa, and California entering the market, I think we can expect technology to improve the taste, mouthfeel, and enjoyment of the NoLo wines. And we see the arrival of sparkling NoLo varieties, who have been buoyed up by the boom in Prosecco sales, and with a lesser ABV differential, is already moving this market forward into new territories. Do we have any questions, Linda? No, okay. So, looking at spirits now. The NoLo spirits category is a relative newcomer to the market compared to beer and wine, but is attracting significant interest from both smaller craft distillers and the big established spirits brand. So the pioneer was the Seedlip brand, which launched in 2015 and now exports to numerous markets overseas. And in 2019, it was purchased by the drinks giant Diageo as part of their global strategic investment plan. The NoLo spirits market is particularly active in the UK, with dozens of brands launching in the past 2 years. And these brands have been attracted by the opportunities for market growth. So, for example, in 2018, report from the UK Office of National Statistics noted that in 2017, teetotalism in Britain had reached 22% for those aged under 24. And this figure has continued to rise in the last 4 years. And we have reports from across Europe, North America, and as far away as Australia and South Africa, all highlighting similar trends with their young consumers. In this market sector, there is a heavy emphasis on the use of craft distilling techniques and sustainably selected botanicals. And these traits have carried over from the appeal that they've had to consumers of craft gins over the last 5 years. Many products are positioned as mindful drinking alternatives, and they have an aspirational level of sophistication and taste experience when compared to a soft drink. And we can see activity from pioneers of the sector, such as Seedlip, having, as I said, been snapped up by Diageo, numerous craft brands from entrepreneurial startup distilleries with emphasizing their local procurement and artisan techniques to establish brands launching 0% options, but also some very well-established brands such as Warner's, Gordon's, and so this is becoming a very active market. So those are our 3 or 4 major categories. What we're going to have a look at now is what I think are new categories that are coming in because of the consumer interest and their willingness to experiment with NoLo drinks. This is gathering momentum, and it's bringing new categories into the marketplace. So, for example, we have products being marketed as adult cordials, which are diluted at home by the consumer. And Duke's brand here has a white, a red, and a rosé option, mimicking the choices that consumers make in the wine category. Mocktails are very well established on bar menus, and pre-mix options are now increasingly available. And innovation is not only in the recipes, but how they are packaged. For example, this UK brand Colibri invites you to customize your experience with their unique cap to intensify the flavor and awaken the botanicals. And as you twist the cap, so the botanicals are introduced to the group, into the drink. In addition to these areas, we see a range of drinks that are emerging into European markets from the USA. And what these drinks I've categorized together is that they have a common base of vinegar. So a shrub is a fruit-based syrup, which is usually mixed with vinegar, such as a cider vinegar, to create a delicious, tangy flavored drink. The non-alcoholic versions originated in America and are an emerging category in Europe. And they're used by both professional bar mixologists and at home to create unique and delicious cocktails and mocktails. For example, none such shrubs are marketed as lightly sparkling, deliciously unique blend of fruit juice, spring water, and cider vinegar with no added sugar. Also becoming popular in the American market are switchels. These are sweet, tart mixture of apple cider vinegar, water, and adaptogens such as ginger, maple syrup, honey, and lemon and spices, and turmeric are sometimes added. Some of these are claimed to have health benefits, but that is in America. Here in Europe, I would think that the high sugar levels and the repeated drinking of acidic drinks would make this a difficult claim to substantiate. When we look at another area of adult drinks, we have kombucha, and this comes in many variants and emphasizes the gut health benefits being offered because it is a fermented alternative to other drinks. And whilst they were originally marketed as a form of tea, many kombucha brands are now exploiting NoLo sales opportunities and repositioning their products in the NoLo space and being less likely to refer to them as tea than was previously the case, positioning them as an aspirational, enjoyable, tasty adult drink. On the other hand, we have brands going in the opposite direction and moving back to tea. So here you can see Fortnum and Mason with their range of sparkling teas, but bottled in a champagne style to position them as an adult treat or for a special drinking occasion. And the brand Tea Pigs are having their range of kombuchas in a ready-to-drink can format. And I think here this sort of emphasizes what I was saying about the overlapping of categories. Now, one of the areas that's in the low alcohol area, which has seen an explosion of activity, is the hard seltzer sector. Now, this market is well established in the USA, and in 2020, Nielsen reported sales of $4 billion and a growth rate of 40%. And seltzer is a catch-all term for sparkling or fizzy water. So a hard seltzer is simply a carbonated water mixed with alcohol and fruit or other flavorings. Typical products in the market are around 4 to 5% ABV, and many of them use either gin or vodka as their alcoholic content. As you can see, the most popular pack format is the slim can, either at 250 millilitres or 330 millilitres. And it's interesting that most products state the number of calories per can, as they are relatively low compared to fully alcoholic drinks. And they're often emphasizing that they are less than 100 calories per serving. Some are also stating that they are gluten-free and emphasizing the sustainability and local credentials of their ingredients. And I think this area around health and how NoLo can contribute to an overall healthy diet was one of the reasons that we wanted to feature this webinar as part of the AHFES project. The White Claw brand that you can see there on the presentation is very dominant in the USA and has a market share of over 60% and is now on sale in Europe. And we also see other big drinks brands moving into the sector, such as Smirnoff, Kopparberg, Brewdog, and we have Coca-Cola with their new Topo Chico brand. So you can see that this is very active. We also have artisan brands emerging and quite a lot of activity in private label, such as this Nordic Wolf product, which is available in discounter Aldi. The next area might not be something that you'd necessarily thought of as a NoLo category. And in fact, bitters have been a staple in the repertoire of cocktail bars for many years. But brands are making a bid for some market share with a NoLo positioning. Although that they are extremely alcoholic, over 40% ABV, because you only put a few drops into a sparkling water or soda or lemonade base, for example, the end drink creates a low alcohol alternative due to that dilution rate. So these brands, who perhaps have been seen as quite an old-fashioned product, are now seeing an opportunity to grab consumers' attention in this area. What I thought might be helpful is to consider that anyone who's operating in the NoLo sector needs to bear in mind that there are a number of other product sectors that could be competing for the attention of your target audience. After all, there are only so many drinks that a person can drink in a day. So with the removal of alcohol, the NoLo options are actually propelled into new drinking occasions, such as lunchtime or on the go, where other drinks marketed at adults would traditionally have been consumed. And so again, you can see this blurring of categories. So if you're innovating in the NoLo sector, it may be very worthwhile to take note of activities that you see in these adjoining categories. You may find a product and flavour trend ideas, innovative packaging formats, and marketing approaches that you could apply to your own chosen sector. And in my mind, all of these products are competing with NoLo for drinking occasions because they are adult drinks. So, for example, the energy drink Club Mate from Germany is positioned to compete with beer or to be mixed with alcohol. Fruit-filled smoothies are proclaiming their health benefits, but actually you do have to watch out for the amount of calories that you're going to consume. And then you've got cleaning juice programs who are promoting the detox health benefits of consuming them daily, with dairy milk alternatives encouraging consumption as a standalone drink, not just for use in a coffee or tea. So it's hard to tell, for example, if the growing sales of dairy-based drinks, such as kefir and lassi, and their dairy-free or equivalent versions, are taking sales from the alcohol sector, or whether they're triggering more switching from soft drinks and hot beverages. However, because they are positioning themselves and pitching at the aspirational adult drink sector, I do think that it's very well worth you keeping an eye on these types of categories, as well as the alcohol and NoLo sectors. So what are these market opportunities? So if we could go back one, thank you. The NoLo market is generally at the beginning of its evolution in Europe and other countries. And some countries are more advanced and active in general, or in some specific areas. We might say beer being more sophisticated market in Spain, perhaps spirits in the UK, and fermented drinks in the USA. However, throughout the research, I have confirmed that virtually all markets are showing growth opportunities, offering sales opportunities at home and abroad. And there are also certain export markets where, for cultural and religious observance reasons, alcohol is not widely consumed. And in these markets, we now see an expanding number of affluent middle-class consumers, such as in the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Egypt, where major brands of non-alcoholic beer are particularly well established and targeted at a male audience. However, market commentators such as Euromonitor have observed that there is a growing opportunity to target NoLo options to female consumers who don't wish to consume alcohol and are based in these countries. For cultural reasons, many consumers in these markets prefer products which have never contained alcohol rather than de-alcoholized options. And my research has shown that they're more willing to engage with brands who are purely alcohol-free and do not also produce alcohol products in their ranges. There are a number of established routes to market, including expanding in-store space being allocated by major retailers and movement of product into specialist retailers, including liquor and off-license stores. And increasingly, the hospitality sector is responding to demand for these NoLo products by offering them in bars, pubs, hotels, and restaurants. And there are well-established online sales outlets in many countries, either via generalist platforms such as Amazon as well as bespoke NoLo websites who offer a wide selection of zero or low alcohol products. So we just wanted to have a look now at some of the trends and influences that are coming forward. This information is provided to us from the team at the Food People, and they're particularly pointing out that botanicals have exploded out of the craft gin market into all types of food and drink categories, and this includes the NoLo sector. So here you can see the flavours that they are citing as established but strong in the market, and then other areas which are emerging strongly, including seeds, roots, leaves and herbs. And they're also predicting that chilies, hemp, CBD and smoke flavours are going to be coming to the fore over the next couple of years and will become increasingly popular. And then another area which they have pointed out is this ocean drive. It's the influence of the ocean, things which are beach and ocean inspired, the inclusion of seaweed or items such as sea buckthorn, and also salted drinks. We're seeing this as there's a counter trend to sweet pink drinks, and we're seeing this sort of salty umami influence coming from the growing interest in Asian cuisine in the European markets. Similarly, we have increasing interest in functional well-being. And functional drinks are moving out of the gym bag and into daily drinking occasions. So products are combining implied functional benefits with adult flavours. And we're seeing a range of products marketed as plant tonics, herbal immunity boosting drinks, inclusion of hemp, cannabis and CBD beverages. And we can see that this market is maturing as we have major brand PepsiCo entering the functional sector with their new Soul Boost brand, which is marketed as a sparkling water beverage with fruits and adaptogens such as ginseng. And I think you can see that all of these drinks are competing heavily in that aspirational adult drink market. So we've got these drinks also positioning themselves into more established areas that we would have expected to find alcoholic beverages. So we have Mexico style cerveza as zero alcohol options. We have brands that are positioning themselves as rum alternative or tequila alternatives, and also offering as aperitifs drinking occasions. So we have also new territories opening up, new concepts which are marketed as zero alcohol wheat brews, such as the Dogfish Heads brand in the USA. We have Loki, who are trademarketing their enhanced seltzers and stressing that they are a euphoric alternative to alcohol. Who could resist? And from France, we have the Real brand, which is marketing collagen-enriched juices. So we see that there are a lot of claims going on here, and for consumers to become engaged with it, they need to understand your messaging and what their reasons to believe in your brand are that might stretch beyond purely the taste of the product. So low calorie or even zero calorie claims of many drinks are appealing to the modern health conscious drinker. And this idea of pairing your drink to your mood is also becoming increasingly popular. And my personal view is keeping this eye on restful sleep will be very useful in terms of marketing approach going forward. The other thing which I hadn't expected to find, but I thought was worth sharing with you, was the opportunity. Sorry, Linda, may we go on? Thank you. For upselling. And it really just struck me as I did the research, the number of businesses who are upselling their brands with branded accessories and merchandise. So this could be everything from a insulated wrap that you put in the freezer and then put it around your bottle or your ready to drink can, clothing items, or things like tote bags, botanicals that you can add to your drinks. One interesting area were rim rubs, which are like a textured rub that the home cocktail maker can wet the edge of their glass and add the rub around the drink for more of an aspirational or a party vibe. And then also different glassware and mocktail accessories, so that you can bring the excitement of the cocktail bar into the home. So that was just something that I thought was worth mentioning. So I hope that the information that we've shared has been useful, and it's given you an insight into some of the really widespread and varied activity that's occurring in this adult drink NoLo sector across the world. And this was just a little summary of some of the thoughts that I had that anyone operating in this area might like to consider to drive forward. I won't go through every area in detail, but I think you can see this point about the adult and sophisticated flavours, I think, is key to the success in this market. The sustainably production, sustainably packaged is also something that's being heavily emphasised, and supporting socially responsible marketing messages in general. And this thing that you can, enjoy these drinks, have fun, don't feel like you're missing out. And opportunities for drinking occasions that were not seen to be appropriate for alcoholic drinks has to increase the demand, because it increases the opportunities that people have to consume the drinks. I can see quite a trend into accessible formats. This rise of ready to drink is something that I think has become more and more rapid over the past 18 months even. And it may be a way of introducing consumers to try your product before they are paying for particularly in the spirits area, where some of these products have a comparable price to gin and vodkas in the market, for example. Because this is an AHFES project, obviously we're taking a health and well-being perspective, but your recipes need to be credible, and they need to address the well-being benefits that you've identified are important to your target consumers. One criticism that I have seen on social media in particular is that consumers are aware that they're not paying alcohol duty, and so they're questioning why the products are as expensive as buying a bottle of gin, for example. So I think that you need to be explaining the care and attention that's gone into making your product and building a strong, desirable brand that can overcome this barrier. Your product needs to be marketed to appeal to what it is that you've identified your consumers looking for, and something that's going to encourage trial and repeat purchase. You don't want this just to be a one-hit wonder, and to think about how you're going to get your product to the consumer, either through direct sales or through the venues. And there's an opportunity here to appeal to all life's stages. It's not only the 18 to 24 age group that we've spoken about, who are increasing numbers of teetotals, but we have professional people, young parents, and the over 50 group who want to maintain a good health and a healthy lifestyle to stay well as long as they can. So a final recap, just to some of the key points from today's webinar. So this is a market sector which is showing booming growth. And whilst it is small in comparison to the alcohol market, it has enough opportunities emerging to attract the attention of drinks businesses, from craft-based startups to global brewers, distillers, and increasingly vintners. With so much going on, I think you'll need to be proactive in how you keep up with new trends which are impacting the sector. And not only what is happening in the NoLo sector, but some of the other adjacent categories that we've had a look at today. And we know that whilst some consumers are choosing NoLo drinks because they don't drink alcohol at all, many others are switching seamlessly in and out of alcoholic and NoLo options, even within the same drinking occasion, because they're wanting to moderate their consumption. So I think keeping a watchful eye on what you see going on in the alcohol sector is also very worthwhile. And market researchers around the world are noting the demand for NoLo products rising in both retail, food service, and home delivery platforms. So perhaps there's opportunities to explore in export markets, which might open up new sales opportunities for you. So whatever you choose to do with the information from today's webinar, and I hope that it will be helpful in you defining your next innovation and your product strategies, don't forget that we have a full programme of training available from AHFES, which spans a whole host of topics relevant to businesses in the healthy food and drink sector. And we're adding to this resource throughout the coming months. So, for example, if you wanted to have some more thoughts about opportunities for market insight, we have our market insight and consumer options of training. Within our benchmarking products, we have the helpful benchmarking templates, which you can, are Excel spreadsheets ready for you to use. All of our first program has been translated into French, Portuguese, and Spanish. And we have our new programs as they go live, first in English, and then are translated. For example, in our second program, we have a product strategy module with quite a helpful workbook that might guide you through if this is a new sector to you. So it's free to SMEs who are operating in the food and drink sector with healthy products, and you can just choose whichever topics you want and work at your own pace. So just let your local AHFES partner, and you can see who they are for your region here, that you would like to sign up and join the businesses who are already benefiting from the AHFES training to upskill their teams. So that's enough of me talking, I think. And Linda, is there anyone would like to ask questions? Or
that was great. Thank you, Alison.
Thank you. I'm fogging my throat now.
A really good.
I need one of my NoLo drinks.
There haven't been any more questions come through, so this is your sort of final chance. So if you've got a question for Alison, then please do put it in the chat box. I will just check Q&A. No, there's nothing in there. Otherwise, we'll bring this to an end. And I hope everybody found that really useful. It was such a good run through, I think, of what's happening in that category. A very active category, as you say, Alison. So
yes, and I think it was. I think there's a lot of opportunity in this area because it's so growing and the potential is large, and the fact that it is applying equally across all of the AHFES regions.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay then, well, I think we'll wish everybody a very good morning, and we'll make sure that the presentation and the recording gets posted onto the website, the AHFES website, and we can send a link around to all the attendees then. Thank you all, and I'll stop recording now.